With all the brand new games that have been coming out this month, I feel like I've almost neglected a little bit my pickups, my gaming pickups, because I've been ordering stuff off eBay, I've been travelling around towns, and as I've been looking for the brand new stuff that I've been going into like Argos or Currys or Game or whatever to buy, I've still been going to CEX and collecting a couple of games, and I have like mentioned those games in the videos about the pre-orders a little bit, but I don't feel like I've given them the attention that I normally would. And therefore, let's go through some of my pickups from recently, and games that I'm currently after, things that I've ordered, and just general, just collecting stuff, I suppose. First of all, we'll go through like the brand new stuff because, well, there isn't much. So we've got Silent Hill 2 Remake and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Also, bit of trivia for you guys. Did you know, I saw a TikTok about this, so I feel like I should make a YouTube about it, that on the inside of the original cover art, hang on, this is why I need one of them little stands. If you pull the cover art out for Silent Hill 2, the original cover art for Silent Hill 2 is on the inside. Let me show you the comparison. So this is Silent Hill 2, the original, and there's Silent Hill 2 Remake with the inversed cover art. I think that's pretty cool that they did that. It almost makes me a little bit happy that the steelbook that's coming from Game is going to be a supplement rather than a replacement case, because that means I'll still be able to have that as well, which I do think is pretty snazzy. That's assuming this mythical steelbook from Game ever actually does turn up, because in 2 more days it's been what, a week late. I'm glad that they sent out the case separate so that we could actually be playing the game, but it still seems shambolic that it's a Game exclusive, so it's not like there should be stock problems when Game is the only place that it's being sent to. Anyway, I've moaned enough about Game. Let's move on to the other games we got. So in the last few weeks I've picked up a ton of PlayStation 4 stuff from a variety of different places. Thankfully, some of you guys have been making me aware that some of the games that I'm after are actually cheaper on Amazon than they are secondhand from CEX, and I suppose due to the fact that for the majority of this year, the majority of the games that I've been buying have been PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. Those are games that generally you can't be buying off Amazon anymore. They're not there. But PlayStation 4, for a lot of them, are still buyable off Amazon, but it wasn't something that I ever bother checking because I'm just constantly checking CEX's stock checker. I've got like tunnel vision, Anyway, so we got this. I actually bought this not really for me, more for my girlfriend. I've played through them all. They're all on Game Pass, etc. But, so for those that don't know, this is the Telltale Definitive series of Walking Dead, which possibly one of the best stories in gaming ever made. If you've never experienced this, you can get it all done over the course of probably a week if you want to. Probably less if you really do put in a grind. It's amazing. It truly is. And a few years ago, I replayed Season 1 with my partner, and of course, she cried at the end. But we never went any further than that. And then about a year and a half ago, I bought her a PlayStation 5. I've had questions before about whether or not my partner's into gaming, whether we play anything together. Generally, no, not really. She likes the stories of gaming, but she's so inexperienced with a controller that she's one of these that you put a controller and she starts looking at the floor stuff. Look at this. There's no like middle ground. You know when you put a controller in like your nan's hands and it's just like holding a foreign object. It was one of them. So I started easing her into it because I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we could play stuff together. Because she likes the stories of games, and like she always liked watching me play through like horror games and like the story focused stuff when we were younger. Been together 8 years for context. So I bought a PS5 for the living room, which I say is for her because she plays it occasionally. For example, what does she play? So she got herself a Switch over lockdown, like a lot of people did, and obsessed over Animal Crossing, and then she wanted to play Spider-Man PS4, so she was able to play that on the PS5, and then she also played Last of Us in preparation for the TV show that came out a couple of years ago, which I could rant about for an hour, but we won't because, we won't. What we will do is when The Last of Us Part 2, the TV show, comes out, we're going to rant about that, and I really hope I get proved right. I've got a chip on my shoulder about this. Okay, so I'm going to preface this now so that you guys can be like, ha, Cayle was right, or hopefully not, ha, Cayle was wrong. I truly think that a lot of people are going to check out of The Last of Us Season 2 because of Pedro Pascal. If you know, you know. I truly believe that a lot of people only watched Season 1 because of the big name of Pedro. And, we'll see. Anyway, so I got her the Walking Dead games, and she's also played Spider-Man 2 since. So I got her the Walking Dead games, and she's going to at some point play through those herself, because she's now a little bit more capable than she used to be back when we originally started trying to get her to play games. And we've also played Minecraft together, because that's also pretty peaceful. I could just leave her on farming duty while I go and do the dangerous stuff. Next up, after that, we have this one. This holds some memories for me. This is the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Never really been a big Mega Man guy, but Mega Man Battle Network I loved when I was a kid. In fact, let me check something. This DS right here is the original model of the DS, and I'm willing to bet, by the way, in case you didn't know, the original model of the... It actually doesn't. That's interesting. I would have thought that right now was Mega Man Battle Network 3 in there, but it isn't, which raises questions. I've put it back in now. Anyway, I played an ungodly amount of Mega Man Battle Network 3 when I was younger. Like, I love those games. They're handheld games. They used to be handheld games. There were 6 of them in the mainline series, and then there was a bit of a spin-off on the DS called Mega Man Star Force. I'm going to get those at some point too. I'm willing to bet that at some point in the future there'll be a legacy collection for that, because from what I gather, slowly but surely, most of the Mega Man sub-series are getting a legacy collection, so I'm really happy that Battle Network did. But the problem with Battle Network is it never got the legacy collection on PlayStation 4 in the UK. So if you pay attention to the corner down here, that's the American age rating versus the UK age rating that is on copies from England. Granted, I do not believe the PlayStation 4 is region locked, so it does not matter whatsoever. So I got this. I got it off eBay. Turns out I could have got it off Amazon. You live and you learn one day. And basically this has every Mega Man Battle Network game on. There are 6 mainline entries, and then from Mega Man Battle Network 3 they did the Pokemon thing where they had different versions with different well, it's just like Pokemon, different monsters, different battle chips, slightly different story, different transformations, you know, that sort of thing. But this has just both versions of every game, every single game in the franchise, all on one disc. Or at least I think it's one disc. Point is, it's all on the PlayStation 4, upscaled for modern era, and I love it. It did kind of come at a bad time, because about a year before this released, so like maybe 3 years ago now, I played through all of the Mega Man Battle Network games on my handheld through reasons, and yeah, that would have made it much easier to play through them, but it was before it was out, so I didn't know. So I have experienced them all on actual handheld, which is pretty cool, because in future it'll probably be the PlayStation 4 version. Okay, next up I have began collecting Final Fantasy games, because I've said it a few times this year, but I'm trying to make a big effort to play things that I haven't played before. So I bought all the Yakuza games, and now I'm buying the Final Fantasy games, because those are 2 franchises that I know that are critically acclaimed, but I've always said are just not for me. But I've said they're just not for me without really giving them a go myself, so realistically it's a bit of a silly thing to do, to buy the entire franchise and then give it a go. You should probably buy just one, give it a go, and then buy the franchise. But my brain works in mysterious ways, I'm afraid, and by mysterious I mean utterly stupid. But I've began collecting Final Fantasy games. A lot of them are pretty cheap, some of them are not. Let me show you what I got. In fact, I'm missing a couple. Back in a sec. First, I got Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So far as I'm aware, this is effectively, in all intents and purposes, Final Fantasy Remake Part 1. And there is already a Part 2, and Part 3 is to be confirmed at some point. Because of that, Part 2 is pretty expensive right now. I think it's still in the 40s of pounds over at CEX. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to wait until Part 3 is out, and then by then Part 2 will be significantly cheaper, and you get the gist. Anyway, after that, I've got Final Fantasy, is that 15? I think that's 15. I think that 16 released not too long ago. I don't own that one yet, because that's the newest one, that is also decently expensive, but for £4 I was like, yeah, go for it. Then after that, the other day I picked up Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD's remaster. From what I gather, I've watched several videos about like what the best entry points are to the Final Fantasy franchise. A lot of people say 10, a lot of people say 15, a lot of people say 7. So working on that, working off that basis is how I'm sort of aiming myself at these various different games. Next up we have, and this is pretty cool, Final Fantasy 1 to 6, the Pixel Remaster Collection. Now, I don't even really need to say what this is, I kind of just did. It's the original 6 games remastered, because they're basically not playable in their modern ways really anymore. I can't find the comment right, but basically some dude said on one of my videos that he managed to make hundreds of dollars off of this game because of the fact that it was recently re-released, like last week on the same day as Silent Hill 2 Remake. And before that, I was looking at the price of it on like eBay and CEX, and it was like stupidly expensive. And I was like, why is this stupidly expensive? But Amazon says that it comes out next week for like 50 quid. So I asked that question, and my comments informed me, and then Google told me, because I did Google it as well, that this version that I've just bought was like a second release, and they re-released it because the first one sold out and shot up to be mega expensive. And while I'm not planning on playing the Final Fantasy game soon, I did notice that this one was on its way to selling out as well. Like when I ordered this, there was only like 7 copies left or something like that. So I was like, I'll get it now because I don't want it to sell out now, and I want it in 6 more months' times when the price is doubled on it again. So we got it again. That's pretty cool. And it's nice. I like having these remastered pieces of history, as it were, like especially because it looks like they did the remaster well, in that they didn't just completely change everything about what the game is supposed to be. Another example of a game that did that perfectly in my eyes was The Secret of Monkey Island 1 and 2 special editions. They're a perfect remaster. If you've never played those games, I really recommend it. They're very old school, but if you like that sort of thing, you'll enjoy it, and the art style is wonderful. And then for our last console game that I've gotten recently, the other day this arrived, the Fallout 4 Steelbook edition for the PlayStation 4. I love Fallout. Fallout 3, New Vegas and 4 are 3 of my favourite games ever. A lot of people don't like Fallout 4 because it was so different to 3 in New Vegas, but honestly, I kind of don't mind that because of the way that I play 3 in New Vegas. By the time I'm done with them, I'm done with them by the time I've finished those 2. And I play all 3 in a row whenever I play them. So like, I don't mind the change of pace by the time you get to Fallout 4. It's kind of okay. And as of recent months, I have been aiming myself at as many Steelbooks as I possibly can because I just think they look really cool. A little bit sad that, as far as Google tells me anyway, I can't seem to discover whether or not Fallout 3 and New Vegas had Steelbook editions. Since I started talking about wanting Steelbooks, a few people have commented down below saying, or messaged me, offering to sell me various different Steelbooks, or in some cases even donate me Steelbooks that they just aren't using anymore. I have a PO box down below to achieve said things now. We sorted that out in the last week or 2. Anyway, I did have one more game arrive, and it is Legacy of Goku for the Game Boy Advance. Again, Legacy of Goku 2 was my first ever Dragon Ball game. Dragon Ball and me go way, way back to like as young as I can possibly remember, but I never played the first one. And I would really love to have the trilogy of them boxed and complete like this. I actually might have managed to get my hands on the second one as well, but it's just not here yet. And getting my hands on Boo's Fury, which is the third one, is going to be nigh impossible. I might have to buy the legitimate cartridge and get a replacement case or like a repro case, because I just don't think that it's going to be possible because of the fact that the American Boo's Fury wasn't released in England, so like even the cartridge is going to be American when I get my hands on it. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to have all 3 boxed. In that same sort of thought process, I also want to get all of the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection games boxed. If I could get 1 to 6 in some form or fashion boxed and in these protectors, that'd be pretty awesome. And finally, I do have some more stuff on the way from eBay because I've just been prolifically getting things. They're just not here yet. So when they are, you'll know. But before I end this video, if you guys didn't already, do be sure to like the video. And let's go check some stock levels. I've not checked in a few days because I've been playing games. And then we'll go. Okay, so one game I'm after, and I'm never going to get from CEX because no one's ever going to give it to CEX for this price. I'm going to have to pay eBay prices. Even then, I've lost bids on this like twice on eBay. Is Ultimate Spider-Man Limited Edition. 70 quid, completely out of stock. Next up, this is the next big hitter that I will at some point get. Michigan Report from Hell. This is currently the second most expensive PS2 game you can get, thanks to Rule of Rose's decline. Currently out of stock for the version that comes with the manual, however. Although if you were to go for the version with no manual and spend £395, you can get one in Ilford. So is that manual worth that much? There is just one in stock. I don't know, I'll let that simmer, shall we? Next up, we've got Gun Club, which is the most expensive PlayStation 2 game that you can get. I have never in my life seen any copies of this in stock, so I don't expect there to be any. And the answer to that was, yes, I was right. Now let's look up some more reasonably priced games, shall we? So I want to get Alien Colonial Marines for PlayStation 3. It's only £2.50, but it's never in stock anywhere near me. The nearest one is Wolverhampton, which is reasonable to get to be fair. We'll see, maybe. I also want the Conan game that came out on PlayStation 3 because I have distinct memories of getting this game pre-owned at Game Station when I was younger. But kind of hard to come by as well because it's not in any CEXs anywhere near me. Next up, the last Yakuza game that I'm missing that has a physical release in England anyway. Lost Judgment for PlayStation 5. Nearest one is Lichfield, which I've never been to. It's a little bit out of the way. That's slightly outside my my cone of travel, as it were. Bloody Stoke. It's always Stoke. So X-Men Destiny for PS3 has now popped up in Stoke. That's making me consider going to Stoke. It's annoying. I would have gone because for quite a while Lost Judgment has been in Stoke, and Stoke is in the vicinity of where I travel. But I needed there to be more games because I don't like going to... Like, for example, these are decently cheap games. I don't want to go to Stoke just for one £10 game. But now, we'll see. It's annoying because Lost Judgment was in Stoke and now isn't. Same again here. SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 only costs £2. You'd think being a sports game would be really easy to come by, but apparently not. Nearest one is also in Stoke, which, again, is in the vicinity that I would travel. So, potential. Next up, we've got The Surge 2, which is absolutely nowhere near me, in the middle of absolute nowhere, so that one's not going to happen anytime soon. Then we've got Ninja Gaiden 3, which is currently in Burton, which I've been there once, and it was kind of difficult to get to. Or at least the sat-nav took me some weird ways. I didn't really like that drive. Bit out of the way. Oh my god, this has gone up £30. And is still in stock absolutely nowhere near me. I should probably just accept the PS3 version for £3 rather than £30 for the PS4 version. Anyway, that's us done for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in a bit.